Pop quiz, comics fans. They're a family superhero team. One is super stretchy, one can turn invisible, one is big and strong, one catches fire like some sort of human torch. That's right, it's The Incredibles, aka the best depiction of the Fantastic Four that we've yet seen on the big screen, though that could change soon. Pixar's movies are so rich and detailed that they lend themselves extremely well to fan theorizing. But today, we're going to be focusing on some particularly mind-blowing Incredibles theories. Buckle up! What do we know about Edna Mode? Genius costume designer for superheroes. Has what you might call an attitude. Kinda short, once appeared with Pierce Brosnan at the Academy Awards. It was a weird time. But might there be more to this tiny, larger-than-life woman than meets the eye? Could she be a secret super? A Redditor going by the name of The Darn seems to think so, and the reasoning is compelling. Edna seems to have a preternatural ability to know exactly what powers other supes have, without even being told. She could also be super intelligent. After all, she is a technical genius as well as a fashion designer. It's certainly the kind of thing that she would want to keep secret if she wanted to stay off the government's radar and keep her fancy high-tech house. And speaking of that fancy house, could Edna be a reformed supervillain? The house certainly feels more like a villain's lair than a fashion designer's house, with its armed guards, high gates, and flamethrowers. And as Redditor Fifth Circle of Nell suggests, she has intimate knowledge of superheroes, the kind of knowledge that could either come from being one or fighting against them. There's also a moment where she advises against dwelling on the past, saying that looking back is too distracting. Perhaps she's speaking from experience as someone trying to make up for past misdeeds. Now, Edna isn't the only character in The Incredibles who could be a secret super. We've got our suspicions about Buddy, aka Incrediboy, aka Syndrome. And Frank West 21CP, another denizen of Reddit, makes a strong case. Even though Buddy says early on in the first movie that he doesn't have powers, throughout the story he reveals ever more advanced technology that he has built himself, from rocket boots to zero-point energy to full-blown artificial intelligence. Pretty wild inventions for one normal kid with no funding, huh? Could Buddy be a super intelligent, a human brainiac, if you will? The theory even takes into account the mistakes Buddy makes throughout the movie, including wearing a cape. Would a super intelligent person make such mistakes? Very possibly, if they were blinded by their own arrogance. We're going to put this one down in the pretty plausible column. And on the flip side, even if little Buddy wasn't a super, could he have been the son of supers? Reddit user Observa did a deep dive into the possible candidates for Buddy's parentage and settled on the supers Phalange and Apogee. The theory suggests that Buddy bears enough of a physical resemblance to these two supers that they could plausibly be his parents. It would explain a lot of things. Buddy begins the movie idolizing the supers, perhaps because his parents were supers. But this turns very quickly into bitterness. If he was so ready to turn against them, that could be because he was neglected as a child, as his parents were constantly rushing off to save the world. And a powerless child of powerful parents could easily develop a complex about not having abilities. Additionally, supers seem to have access to some pretty powerful technology. Maybe that helped Buddy make his start as an inventor. Why wouldn't Buddy mention his parentage at any point in the movie? We'll get back to you on that one. But while we're on the subject of Buddy, there's another compelling theory about him. Did he have some government help? We know the government wanted to get all the supers out of the way, changing laws and giving them whole new identities. But it's plausible that elements of the government might have been concerned about these superpowered individuals re-emerging. It's a pretty big national security risk, after all. But of course, the government couldn't be seen to be taking any murderous action. Enter Syndrome. According to this pretty dark theory from Redditor Honeybee Hound, the government was either directly working with him or quietly keeping out of the way and letting him follow his own agenda. So long as his goals and theirs were aligned, why not let a supervillain do their dirty work for them? It's called plausible deniability, baby. How deep does this rabbit hole go? Probably not very, because it's just a theory, but still, come on. Here's one for the psych majors. What if we told you that the personalities of the three Parr children are neat allegories for Freudian theory? Without getting too technical, one of Sigmund Freud's theories suggests that the human psyche can be broken down into three parts: the id, the ego, and the superego, and their traits map quite nicely onto the Incredible kids. Jack is the id, pure instinct, operating based only on what he wants with no regard for his environment or strategy. Dash is the ego, still acting based largely on want, but able to learn from his environment and use strategies to achieve his goals. Violet, finally, is the superego, the conscious mind, learning from all experiences and environments, protecting the other two parts of the psyche or family, and directing their energies healthily. Heady stuff, huh? Don't say we never taught you nothing. Everybody loves Frozone. He's cool as ice. The guy who voices him is also cool as ice. His superpower is literally to make things cool as ice on account of being ice. Anyway, but this next theory, suggested by writer Cameron Jackson, casts the character in a somewhat darker light. What if Frozone is working for the government? When the supers are all retired, Mr. Incredible and his family are in a pretty anonymous, cheap-looking house in suburbia. Bob has to work a soul-destroying office job. Frozone, however, seems to be living it up in a swanky high-rise apartment. He doesn't seem to even have a job. He seems pretty content in general. Could this be because he's on the government payroll? He's close enough to the super community that his insights would be extremely valuable. Not to mention his abilities, some of the flashiest and most powerful of any super we've seen. Of course, nobody wants to think badly of old Frozone. It's been pointed out many times that of all the Parr children, Violet looks the least like either of her parents. It's mainly the hair, but there's an awkwardness about her too, a sense that she's slightly apart from everyone else. Well, hold on to your hats. What if Violet isn't a child of the Parrs at all? What if her real mother is Edna mode? Hear us out. Okay, there are definite physical similarities, especially the hair. There's also some timeline synchronicity. Violet is 14 years old in the first movie, and Edna is coming out of a 15-year retirement. What if something bad went down a year into her retirement and she had to give up her baby to a super couple that she trusted?
Coincidence? I think not!
And it could explain why Violet seems so uneasy all the time, like she knows something's not right. Or maybe she's just a teenager. So, maybe Violet does know something's not right. Maybe she isn't a child of the Parrs. Maybe, are you ready for this? This is where I go off the deep end, guys. Maybe she is a grown-up Boo from Monsters, Inc. Seriously, look at them side by side. One could easily be a kid version of the other. Boo is incredibly good at hiding, perhaps a hint at her future invisibility powers. Maybe one day she decided to look for Sully, found a door, and ended up stuck in the Incredibles universe, where she was taken in by a kindly super couple. After all, Pixar is no stranger to crossovers. You know, of all the theories on this list, we think this is the one we'd most love to be true. It's probably not, but, you know, whatever. Thanks for watching. One theory we keep seeing is that Mr. Incredible really did have an affair with Mirage in the first movie, and we're sorry, but no, absolutely not. Get back in the gutter with the people who think that Homer slept with Mindy in that one Simpsons episode, you freak.